what has been achieved until now is quite symbolic in my eyes. And not only the handshake between the president of Kosovo and Serbia, but also, of course, the agreements on the political level between the Prime Ministers Dacic and Taci, and also the technical cooperation. In my view, the normalization process between relations in Serbia and Kosovo has started, and that is a direct impact on the EU integration of Serbia and of Kosovo, and I think that is a very positive development. Especially if we look back how the situation was 1 year ago. I don't know if anybody of you could have imagined how far we have gone in this 1 year already, or maybe 2 years ago, even when there was a bloody summer, the barricades in the border between Kosovo and Serbia, and 2 years later we are sitting here and looking at what kind of agreements and what people have reached the agreements, and I think it is a very positive thing. How did this come about? My task today is to look at the new Serbian government. I also am not sitting inside the government, so I can only try to evaluate a little bit what they have done. And of course the question is it because there is a new Serbian government and the new Serbian government has a new mentality? Or is it despite of the mentality of the new government and the officials that something has been achieved as much as we know? If we say because of the new Serbian government, that would mean that there was really a change of mentality and that there's a change in political thinking and political will. If we say despite the new Serbian government, that would mean despite internal resistance, but because of the pressure of the EU and the US and every outside forces, Serbia was forced to agree on these achievements and these agreements. Well, I think it's a bit of both. And I think on the one hand, we have, as far as we can look at it today, quite a pragmatic new government led by the SNS, who has been until now in the opposition, and who used to have, or who came out of a nationalistic corner where not many people expected that they were the ones, or they could be the ones to tackle these questions. But maybe just because they came out of this corner, their nationalistic credentials are not in doubt. They have more legitimacy maybe than the previous government to really try, also in the foreign policy perspective towards Kosovo, what is in the interest of Serbia to try to achieve that. If we look at the problematic situation in the country, I can also imagine that there were not many alternatives to the new government. The economic crisis, the high rate of joblessness, which is still rising, the level of corruption, the weak institutions, and of course the big foreign policy challenges, all connected to the European integration of Serbia. So does that mean that there is really a change of mentality after 6 months of the new government? First of all, like I said, I think it's the pragmatism and maybe also lack of alternatives. Maybe also lack of convictions of the people who are leading the government, lack of a clear ideology, and positively you could say that it's an open-minded government which is trying to be taken seriously also by the Western partners. And having looked maybe or having analyzed the situation to see where Serbia was standing after the new government took place, that there is a realization that Serbia has to become again a serious partner for the West, not only for the East, and maybe these developments have to be seen also in that light. Overall, I think it's a confrontation with the reality for the leaders of Serbia and what kind of alternatives or what kind of options the government has at the moment. And faced with so many challenges, like I said, the economic depression, not many functioning institutions, but also, let's say, for the young generation, not many perspectives in order to make a better life. I think maybe the leaders have done a realistic evaluation of the options and have decided that the European Union is still the biggest and the most concrete perspective for the country. After all, and I think that's what we read in the press, it's very close that the negotiations for membership can begin, and then the process of EU integration would be really irreversible for Serbia. That is a very concrete option in comparison with, let's say, a loose alliance with Russia or China, which people are speculating about, which I think ties that are also very important to Serbia. But once again, as a clear perspective for, let's say, improved possibilities, improved partnership, but also improved domestic situation, the European Union alternative seems to be the best, and it seems that the government has also decided to follow this option. On the other hand, I think that the agreements wouldn't have been made possible without the pressure and the involvement of the European Union and other Western partners. And as we see also with the the political dialogue now between Serbia and Kosovo, there's a higher interest and involvement of the West in the dialogue, with Catherine Ashton, the High Representative, being directly involved and risking her reputation in order for the dialogue become successful. That is really, and I think, also an impressive symbolic act, looking at what kind of crisis Europe is right now, what kind of problems Europe itself has, that they, and Catherine Ashton herself is still looking at also trying to take responsibility to move the things forward here. Especially important is, I think, also the stance of Germany, and as far as I know, the new government has already last summer, when they came into power, had talks in Berlin. Prime Minister Dacic was traveling to Berlin right away, also Deputy Prime Minister Vučić. And I think there has been a clear message coming from Berlin, but probably also from the other capitals, that things have to move along. Things really have to become more concrete in order for Serbia to stay a serious partner and also to move along in the EU integration process. As you remember, 2 years ago, the Chancellor Angela Merkel was here, and she was different from, let's say, most of the other state visits, very direct and very not diplomatic, mentioning that what is necessary for Serbia to be done. Last year there was a high-ranking delegation from the German Bundestag here, again repeating and making very clear what is necessary to do, and going maybe outside of diplomatic policy, diplomacy, in order to make clear to the Serbian new government what they have to do. After all, I think Germany has a big interest in the stabilization of the region here. It has the biggest KFOR contingent in Kosovo, as you know, and it has economic perspectives in the whole region. But also lately we know about the asylum seekers, the fake asylum seekers. I think that's also a reason why Germany is interested in stabilizing the Balkans and making it prosperous, so that there will be not too many immigrants or fake asylum seekers coming from the region here. Just turning briefly to the situation and to the agreements themselves, I think what is also very important to see is that the new government has decided to legitimize its actions by ratifying the Kosovo resolution and getting the support of the parliament here. I think that is a very important step which the previous government has neglected to do. And it really gives the government here, I think, a green light and a general legitimacy to try to find the best solution, to try to work in the interest of the Serbians, not only here in the country, but also in northern Kosovo and south of the Ibar, in order to find a solution and to get a real mandate for making these political agreements and not only the technical agreements. Just a short outlook for a sustainable solution. We have already heard it today. The implementation of the agreements is very important, and the outstanding negotiation now and today and tomorrow on the parallel institutions, I think, will be the key deciding factor to see if the government here, but also in Pristina, is serious enough to tackle also the very difficult questions. I'm optimistic. I think the pressure is quite high also from the West, and the perspective is very concrete for Serbia to get the green light for the negotiations, so that I think that could work out. But what is also important is civil society initiatives, like we heard today. Contact between the population itself is still very small and not very deep, so to say, and I think that civil society organizations especially, they can contribute to the change of mentality which is needed not only in the political leaders, but also on the ground and in the region there. I think it's a very long-term process, and without international involvement it will not be able to work, but it seems like the international community is committed.